real estate, man, hindsight 2020, I wish I'd have gotten to it 20 years earlier.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know just a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way, I have Mr. Bubba Hunt. Welcome to the show.
Adam, I appreciate you having me, brother. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, man. It is actually a pleasure speaking with you. I have seen you all across town for the longest time. Super fascinated with your story and whatever that you've been up to as of late. I've heard a TV show in the works, which is super exciting.
Yes.
But wanted to kind of like learn a little bit more about what it is that you do.
Yeah, so absolutely. I own Remax Eagle Creek Realty, a real estate company here. Got about 25 agents that work with me. Currently own a company called Motto Mortgage Turnkey, which is a mortgage company. And I own the Hunt Agency. It's an all-state agency here that's inside of my Remax office.
Okay.
I build homes. I do a little bit of construction. I do remodel, flips, you name it. When it comes to real estate, I pretty much do everything.
Crushing it. I have to ask, where was that always part of the plan? Was that kind of, what's the story?
No. So back in 2013, I had owned Car City. And
What's Car City?
Car City used to be my car dealership, 441 South Main Street. I had a car dealership for 10 years.
Wow.
And we used to, we were pretty famous for our wacky commercials that we used to put on at the car lot, and we had a good time doing it.
Uh-huh.
My persona was Bubba-san, and we had Mr. Me Ugly, and Bad Credit was the nemesis.
I love that. When was that?
So I started Car City in 2003, and I sold it in 2013. And what happened, I just had, kind of gotten out of that business. I owned Pawn City. We had up to 11 stores at one time.
Wow.
I was in the pawn shop industry for 28 years.
Okay.
And so my pawn shops were being run, pretty well, and I just was looking for something else to do. And a couple of people had suggested that I might want to give real estate a try. And so I took, believe it or not, 8 months, took the class on and off again, and finally passed it. And in 2014, and I hung my license with Coldwell Banker Tanner Realty at the time.
Okay.
And I just, I've always been a hustler, man, my entire life.
I can hear that.
I started in business literally 2 months after I turned 21 is when I first opened my first pawn shop back on Vine Street.
How'd you get into that industry?
I worked in pawn shops in Hinesville when I was growing up. When I was 16, 17, and 18. Hinesville at that time was a big pawn shop town with the military, and I was working in stores there. I moved up to Georgia Southern to go to school at Statesboro, and golly, 1989. And school didn't work out too well for me, and I was working at a pawn shop then called Little John's Pawn Shop with Mark Anderson, who I love to death, and he got me to working there, and I worked there for about 2 years, and just decided to go out on my own and give it a shot.
What made pawn shops feel so natural to you?
I just loved it. It's all about wheeling and dealing. And I mean, that's just what that has become. I mean, even to this day, I still go back to my pawn shop days of just striking deals on things. And I mean, it's just been a part of me since I was very young. My dad used to go to the pawn shops all the time when we were growing up and buy us bicycles and musical equipment. He was a big reel-to-reel man. And
reel-to-reel, what's that mean?
The old reel-to-reels that you used to tape music on.
Okay.
play music on
And you
way
were
back in the day.
listening
and
all the way through?
always buying, just equipment like that growing up, and I just got kind of hooked on the pawn shop thing.
So you saw, I guess, your dad kind of like doing the hustle, right? Like, was that kind of something that stuck in there?
In 11th grade, in my psychology class, our teacher asked us, you had to write a report on what you wanted to do when you grew up.
Uh-huh.
And even as far back as 11th grade, I wrote that I wanted to own pawn shops and I wanted to own a chicken wing restaurant. The two things. I'm not sure why.
No
chicken
idea
wing,
why.
But those were the two things that I wrote about.
Uh-huh.
And just always loved that industry. I was in it for a long time. We built a really good reputation here in Statesboro. And my brother Tommy, he expanded his empire and went to Metter. And I think Tommy owns 6 or 7 stores now and does very well. But I kind of transitioned out of it in 2018 and sold all of my stores, which I had 6 left at that time, and sold a couple to the guys that were running them, and sold 2 of them to a major national franchise, and kind of just transitioned out of it. But I do miss the business.
You do?
Yeah.
What do you think is the secret in running a successful business? Well, let's start with pawn shop first, right? Because that's at the core.
So I'm just going to tell you what's the secret to success.
Okay.
From my viewpoint, it's how you treat people.
Mm.
I mean, it's in business and in life, it's 85% of how you treat people and 15% of your knowledge. And I just remember that from way back, and I've always strived to take care of the people that I do business with. Sure. And the same with my employees. You sometimes have to part ways with employees over certain disagreements, but I typically do not burn bridges with them. I mean, they usually come back, and I've rehired people that have worked for me previously, and that's just the way I've always been. I try not to burn bridges, and I try to take care and treat everyone with respect and fairly.
Mm. When you say take care of people, I think that is a invaluable part of doing business, right? What are some ways that that come to mind when you say take care of people?
I mean, I've spent many a day just helping someone cut the grass that maybe can't cut their grass, and on the real estate side of things, and hell, I've been over and helped move tables, and I'm not much into the moving truck thing, even though I do have a moving truck.
Uh-huh.
But I just, if somebody needs help with something, I step up and try to do it. If somebody's having a hard time getting somebody to come over there and cut their grass or fix their windowsill that's broken, or need someone just to help clean their house, I'm always there to help try to either get somebody over there to take care of it, or we send our own people over there to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've just always been the kind of guy that just felt I'm just going to try to help people. I mean, that's what I've always done.
Yeah. And that's what has opened so many doors for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much straight up. Honesty will go a long, long way in business and in life if you just are honest with people and not covering your tracks by telling lies or not doing what you say you're going to do. And that's the one thing I've tried to instill in my children is if you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
The same goes in real estate, same goes in the pawn shop business or the car business. I mean, if I tell you that I'm going to take care of something, we take care of it. And I don't care if it ends up costing me money out of my pocket. And I've eaten I've learned some lessons and eaten some significant amounts of losses on things just because I made mistakes, but I own up to my mistakes.
I think in here, one of the things that stands out is your reputation is really at the core of it, right? Like every move that you make every single day, your reputation is at stake. And if you continue to make the moves that you feel are right towards people will eventually see that.
That's exactly. And I am concerned about my reputation. And I mean, I've spent the last 30. I've been in business here since 1992. So I mean, 31 years
Wow.
that I've been here, and I don't think there's too many people that can say too many bad things about me in the business world, because I do what I'm saying I'm going to do. You know, when it's all said and done, if you're making promises or telling people you're going to do things and you don't do them, I mean, that's just not, to me, it's just not the way that I operate.
Yeah. I want to change kind of like directions a little bit and talk a little bit about your business strategy, because, you know, ultimately you've kind of created value within a certain industry, and then also identified other industries that also pair well with it, right? For example, the insurance with the real estate side. So how does your business mind work?
Crazy as hell. I mean, my wife, when I'm sitting there in silence, she's going, "Okay, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
She don't want you to be quiet."
You know, you live and learn by mistakes and experiences, and I just wish, my last endeavor was Butts and Brews, and I really, really wish that I had more time to dedicate to that restaurant. I got out of it when I saw that I had an opportunity to go, and I'm very thankful to Al and Kaleo for coming and stepping up and taking it over. And unfortunately, they closed it and did what they're doing pretty awesome at, which is catering too.
Sure.
My hat goes off to those guys for the way they run their business, their restaurants, and the same for you, Adam. I mean, that is a very tough business.
It is.
And I think I had a great concept. I think we had pretty awesome food. I didn't have enough parking, which was a struggle, and I couldn't really grow that thing without moving it. I knew I didn't have the time to dedicate to all of that, but I do regret that one. But when it comes, I've made some great moves too. Real estate, man, hindsight 2020, I wish I'd have gotten to it 20 years earlier. I mean, but whoever knows the way paths lead. But man, I just got into real estate. My first year, I was Coldwell Banker's North American Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
My fourth year in real estate, I was the 5th ranked Coldwell Banker agent in North America.
Wow.
In total units sold. I think that year I sold like 219 homes. I look back now and I don't even know how the hell I did that, because I had some great assistants working for me, but that was me. I didn't take credit for no one else's sales. That was Bubba and his staff.
Yeah.
But I worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of work.
What was there any skill sets that you picked up from kind of like your previous experience that gave you an advantage over other people?
Just being good to people. I mean, and work. Now, I will say, I mean, I'm an early riser anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I get up between 5 and 5:30 every morning.
Every single morning.
Sometimes 3:30. It just depends on
what's
how my
going
mind's
on.
thinking. But, I get to work early. So I was always one that got there, kind of started answering the phones early. I was working Friday evenings. And, coming from the car industry, it was 6 days a week, and it was a lot of hustle.
The car industry is like that as well.
Well, what we were doing was a 6-day-a-week job, and to stay on top of it, I had to be at work early. But that, kind of just rolled over to real estate for me. That it wasn't a job that I'd come in at 9 and work till 5 and go home at lunch on Fridays. I mean, I was putting in the hours. I was spending some money marketing. I was probably one of the first Zillow agents here and Realtor.com agents.
Yeah.
And, I just kind of kept with that. And it just, the way that my business exploded just really blew me away. But it was, I think, a dedication to the time that I have spent building my name and building relationships in the community.
Yeah.
But what did I do any different? I mean, I just worked longer hours, and my wife and family, I had to sacrifice with them some to get this thing going, but they were so awesome and understanding to allow me to do it. Because it did. I worked Saturdays. I worked Sundays. I was always trying to, I started the open house gig back. I mean, that was something that really wasn't going on here. And we started putting on open houses and just doing anything I could to just, have my name out there and getting some more exposure. I came out with the moving truck, of course, was one of the first things I did, which was a great marketing tool. I mean, if I'm not anything, I'm a marketing guy.
That's actually the next point.
I understand that you got to do things that make you stand out from others. And so that was one of the things I did to help me tremendously.
So, this actually it falls very into line with kind of like the next question because, at the core of it, you have all these businesses that are running, but, business is only one aspect of it. A great business doesn't really become great unless there's a great marketing plan that's able to put it in the face of people. So where did that skill set, or what is your approach kind of when you approach marketing?
So, back in the day with the pawn shops, we were just, I don't know, we would do anything, but we'd create real crazy T-shirts. But really the marketing opened up for me back in 2004, I believe. And that's when we did our very first Car City commercial. Mm-hmm. And that was one where we were celebrating selling our 250th car.
Yes.
And it was the corniest damn thing you have ever seen. But something about it just kind of resonated with people in the community. And, I mean, so we started hearing about it. And then one night, I just was laying on the couch, and I don't know if we had been watching The Karate Kid. I mean, how that all unfolded was pretty amazing because I was just laying there, and I was like, what if we shot these commercials about Daniel's son, a.k.a. Bubba-san, fighting bad credit instead of the bad guys, the Cobra Kai and Karate Kid.
That's right.
And then it just kind of went from there to, instead of having Mr. Miyagi, we have Mr. Miyugly. And our first commercial was me and Bad Credit facing off in the parking lot of Car City. And then after the commercial was shot, I defeated Bad Credit. And then we all just kind of introduced ourselves through doing dancing.
Yeah.
And it just went bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, it went bonkers. And I mean, we would go places and people would want our autographs, and you couldn't go to a restaurant without somebody saying something to you. And then the ultimate was, of course, college students dressing up like us for Halloween.
Love that.
And it just grew into something so big. I mean, we did, I don't know, we probably shot 12 to 15 commercials. We did trilogies. We did prequels. I mean, we did it all. And probably, the most memorable one to me was the first one, but the one that got the most recognition, I believe, was the one where Bad Credit pulled up in his truck and he got out and he started clinking his bottles together like from the scene of the Warriors. And instead of going, Warriors, he was saying, Bubba-san, come out to play, yay. I mean, that commercial just took us to a whole nother level of marketing.
What did it do for the business?
Well, I mean, for a small car lot that had usually around 20 cars on it, in 10 years I sold 3,600 and something cars.
Wow.
And it wasn't just the marketing, but the marketing sure helped. I mean, we used to do, and this one I still see on Facebook rotating from time to time when it comes across my memories, but the one where I shot, this 30-foot jump shot, and if I made it, you got so much, off your down payment. It took me like 20 takes to do that. But, those things, we just did crazy stuff like that. We did a car wash commercial. We did a Star Wars that was a trilogy.
Yeah.
And Trey Dixon helped me with that. And Trey at that point was in production, but he also worked with me at Car City, and he was doing green screen when that just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And to a pretty much unbelievable level too, because if you were able to see our lightsaber fight on now this is a 1-minute commercial on local cable advertising television. It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the sounds, the clank, the sounds of them hitting and them locking in and the buzzing, and it was just a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
We had a ball.
Has that translated into kind of like current stage? Are you still doing, how do you handle commercials in this day and age?
You know what's crazy is the marketing side for real estate was completely different. I mean, you marketed yourself through social media, and then you marketed, of course, through Zillow and Realtor.com, and back in the day it was Trulia. I just kept thinking there was going to be a day that I would end up shooting something crazy, but it just never seemed to come to fruition because
just so busy,
we were
as
just
it is.
so busy, and it was like I didn't need to create something to draw more people because I just stay as busy as I can.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like I said, when I opened my RE/MAX office, it was me and 4 of the agents that were at Coldwell Banker that came with me as a part of a team kind of deal. But we built that thing into. I've had up to about 27 agents working with me.
Wow.
And it's just a little different, on the social media aspect with real estate. But that doesn't mean that it might not happen.
Sure.
I mean, as
We're all waiting for the moment.
So, of course, and I know you will probably move into this, but the American Dream television thing has just got me in my mind just spinning more and more for that opportunity. But I'll let you ask some questions about that before I get into it.
Yeah. Well, we're on the topic now. So what is the American Dream?
So it's a nationally broadcast show that features really lifestyles and trends and real estate. And, I just was fortunate enough to be selected to be the agent that's going to represent and really show some love to the town that, I moved to. Got married to my wonderful wife, Kim. I have 2 children, Matthew and Madeline, Madeline now is 23, and she works with me at RE/MAX, and Matthew is at school at Georgia Southern and is coming to work with me as well. Statesboro has been home, and it's such an awesome place, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity for a 5-minute segment on a 30-minute show to talk about my love. Whether it's going to be Georgia Southern football or tailgating or barbecue or great restaurants and showcase some real estate as well, and just kind of tell the people in the world, or at least in the United States, what's going on.
Yeah.
The show's on Hulu, I think. I mean, so it's got a large reach, and it's nothing. It's not reality TV. It's just a lifestyle show, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity.
That's super exciting. Tell me about, because you've seen Statesboro grow through its stages, right?
Yeah.
Like you've seen it transition. What do you think, what are some memories that you have of kind of Statesboro during that period of time?
I mean, way back when I was in school in '89, and a lot of you kids that are here now will not remember this or even begin to fathom it, but when I came to school, there were 12,000 students. And, of course, '89 was the Hugo Bowl, which was one of my favorite memories because I was at that game when all that was going down. And I've been such a fan of Georgia Southern football since I came to school. Back in the day, we used to have Bash Rip Rocks, which was a killer bar over there kind of behind where Retrievers and all that used to be. We had great day. Zaxby's. So Zaxby's used to be a mobile home sitting in the middle of the parking lot in front of, across the street from Dingus McGee's. It was built up. It had wooden porches, going up on top, and you could actually get a beer there.
Yeah? Back in the day?
Back in the day.
Wow.
That was back in '89, 90.
It's where Zaxby's is right now, currently, right?
Well, they put it as close as they could, but not exactly where it used to be, because it actually used to be centered in that parking lot.
In the middle of it.
In the middle of that parking lot. Mm-hmm. And we used to go there all the time and have just a ball. And the food was awesome way back then. And that one there just really, that gave me a lot of inspiration. Those guys grew that from 2 restaurants to what it is today, which is at every damn town in America.
That's
seems
crazy.
like.
Yeah.
And the food is the same everywhere you go. It's good. And so that was one of the cool things about back in the day.
Did you ever meet them or?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I did not. Not that I'm aware of, but they had a killer thing going for sure. You used to have the Rockin' Eagle right there, and bands that used to come, Driving and Crying. Oh golly, I was in St. Augustine this weekend, and somebody mentioned a band that used to come to Statesboro all the time and play. It'll come to me in a second.
Yeah.
But all the great bands that used to come here and play that people just don't realize that were here. And then again, of course, through the years of all the country music singers that have come through here. But Statesboro, when I was in college, Park Place was the top spot to live. And so now you look at everything and how far out it's growing and what's going on. I mean, the new Walmart came and that kind of busted wide open when it opened up. And I mean, it just went from not much here in 1989 to a town that I look at today. And, it just blows me away to the growth. To say we only have 85,000 people here just is mind-numbing to me because I believe there's so many more than that.
That's right.
Georgia Southern, of course, has doubled since I came here in '89, and we got all these great things happening like with Publix and I'll tell you, being in the real estate industry, you get kind of inside information from time to time about things, but somebody in my office had a destination type resort type development group out of Orlando reach out about some land
looking for a Statesboro. What?
Which of course that plant, the Hyundai plant that's coming has so much of an impact on our community. The Bullitt County, the Pembroke and Bryan County, and the Effingham County and Pooler. It's just going to make such a tremendous impact on our community.
Super exciting.
Yeah, it is huge. I mean, if of course, I'm in real estate, so I love growth. I love seeing the new developments and everything coming, but get ready, Statesboro, because it's coming.
I love that.
I mean, it's definitely coming. And, I see in the next 10 to 15 years, there probably won't be much of a difference between as you're leaving Savannah and coming through Pooler, that it's just going to continue on all the way to Bullitt County, because it's just the growth has just been unbelievable.
That's awesome. One of the things in here that is interesting to me is, I see your success, and my channel is really meant for entrepreneurs, right? What type of advice would you have for people that are interested in business, that are interested in kind of like starting their own, whether it be in, the pond or what you got?
Yeah, you better start with a game plan. And that game plan, you need to circle yourself with people that are way smarter than you are, and that you can talk to and bounce ideas off of, but also you got to have a banker. You got to have an accountant. You got to have legal advice, an attorney. And, those things when you're young and you're starting out, you can't really afford them, but somehow you need to work out a deal where you have some people that you can sit down with and bounce things off of and get advice at a young age. Come talk to people like me. I talk to the young entrepreneurs all the time, asking me, about opening their own business and
Sure.
what do I think and how can they make it work? And it's not easy. I mean, I talk more people out of getting into real estate than do get into real estate, especially on the realtor side, because people kind of see the shows on TV and they see that how many successful agents there are in this area, and you get into it just thinking that it's just going to happen, and it just doesn't happen. People just don't call you up just because you're in business. You have to figure out how to get them to call you. Then you got to take care of them when they're in your business to get the repeat business and the word of mouth business. And you make that mistake early on, you know, the problem, and I just hate seeing this so much on social media, and people feed off of negativity. They feed off of it. And so one negative post about your business turns into 10 negative posts because people just love feeding off that. I just wish we saw more positive vibes on social media about success.
How do we change that? I think that's a culture thing right now.
Yeah, it is a culture thing.
I think it's so much easier to talk about the negative than it is the positive.
Yeah,
right?
people feed off of negativity, unfortunately, and you know, we need to do a better job of building people up for success instead of bringing them down for failure. And you know, so when you see people out there giving it a shot to open their own business, man, build them up because they need it. But then, you know, when you get going, you got to make sure, you know, you're doing your every month. You should know where you stand. And I've made some huge mistakes in the past by not staying on top of financial statements and knowing exactly what it costs to operate each month. But you got to have that plan up front and know that this is how much I got to make to break even. This is how much I'm going to have to make to pay my bills, my personal bills, and then I'm going to have to be able to, you know, feed my family. And if I'm going to have any enjoyment at all, I'm going to have to make this much additional money. And if you have no plan for that and just think that you're going to open and it's just going to come to you, that just doesn't happen. But you know, again, with social media is such a great avenue for marketing.
Yeah.
It's almost free. It's so cheap that it's a great way to reach people that we never could reach in the past. And so that is another avenue for you to reach people for a lot less money than what local advertising used to cost in the past. But again, you got to back it up with performance and the way that you handle your business. So I'm an entrepreneur, man. I mean, that's what I am. Failure I don't fear failure. I embrace it. And I sit there at night and I've had the weight of 3 elephants on my back, but I still go to sleep. And my wife would tell you I snore like a damn bear. I've had stress and pressures on me with mistakes I've made in business, but I sleep at night because I don't have a guilty conscience for the way I've operated and done things, because I've done it as hard as I can and as fair as I can. And so, but then I've had some tremendous accomplishments too. Real estate has just been such a blessing to me. And again, going back to the mortgage side of this, I just saw an opportunity back in 2018 when I got my RE/MAX franchise. It just so happened that they were also offering franchises for mortgage brokerages through RE/MAX called Motto Mortgage. So I jumped on that opportunity, and thank goodness I did. I'm just going to brag on Tiffany, Kavanaugh, and Lauren Hale real quick. My 2 loan originators that, you know, between the 2 of them did almost 29 million in volume last year. And my first year, I got my butt handed to me in that business.
Yeah.
But there was never a time that my wife will tell you that I ever said, I think I need to get out of this one, because I knew that it would come when I had the right people in place. And I got 2 great women working for me that do a great job.
How do you identify the right person? What do you look for?
I wish I could tell you that I nail it every time, but I don't. I mean, I'll do an interview with somebody. I'll look at a resume, but I always bring everyone in and just sit down and talk to them. And I ask some basic questions and just trying to get a feel for, you know, who they are.
Sure.
But again, I've made some mistakes in hiring, but I've also, again, hired some great people to work for me. And
are you saying that you're not able to get a quick assessment, or is that assessment incorrect at times?
Unfortunately, my assessments are very quick because I'm one of those. They come in, they sit down. If I like them, if I seem to, you know, hit it off with them, I'll bring maybe, you know, Kim and my wife or somebody else to sit in for a few minutes and talk to them, and then they leave. And I do a little social media research, just see
Sure.
what they're posting, what they're having to say. But if I feel that I got somebody, I don't hesitate. I don't sit back.
And describe that feeling. Like, is it like they're super sharp dressed, or is that is it like the way that they are speaking to you?
I think it's speaking to me more than anything. I think it's just being open and smiling, and no negativity. I don't look for negativity. Of course, I'm a no drama kind of guy. I don't like drama. I don't like it in my office. I don't like it with employees. That creates such a toxicity when it's around your work environment. I'm not a drama guy, and if I see drama, I'll talk to you once. If I talk to you once and you're still creating drama, you're gone from my company. But yeah, it's been. It's all feel and gut for me. And of course, if you've had a good job, and you've been at your job for some time, but I'm able to convince you. Tiffany was one that it took me 4 years to get her to work for me.
Yeah.
I tried to get her to come to Motto as soon as I opened, and of course that was impossible. She had a great job at a great company, and it took a little while. But once things started turning around for us and things got better and better, I was able to show her the numbers and what we were doing, and I finally convinced her to come on. And like I said, thank goodness I did. She's she's just been great for our company, and again, real estate agents that have worked for us. Typically, real estate agents come to work with me and they don't leave. Once in a blue moon, somebody will leave for something better, but we try to create such a great environment at our office that you don't want to leave for a little bit higher cut somewhere else, because we do it a little different. We do agent of the month meetings, and we staff meetings, and we do bowling together. We
That's
go
awesome.
out to dinner together. We throw parties at my barn, which are sometimes pretty epic parties. If you've ever heard of the old barn I have, it's a pretty cool place to hang out. And we own a lake house at Sinclair, and we've taken everybody up there for a retreat before, which was a blast. We just do a little bit more, which creates a better environment. And at our office, we're all family. We're not competing against each other. Everybody celebrates when somebody has a major accomplishment, and so that's what we try to do up there. And again, we try to make it easy for our agents because of the mortgage side of things, where if your person that has never applied for a mortgage before, they can come sit in our mortgage office next door at Motto and talk to them in person, which makes a big difference than going online a lot of times and dealing with these online companies. And then again, I saw the opportunity for insurance, and the insurance, it just all kind of went hand in hand. I mean, real estate agent, you're showing homes to a family that's going to need a mortgage, and when they get that mortgage, they're going to need insurance. So that all just kind of went together for us, and it's worked really well.
Yeah.
But again, going back to growth and all that, I have recently opened up another RE/MAX office up in Milledgeville, over on the Sparta side of Lake Sinclair. I've been going up to Lake Sinclair for the last 5 years, and we really love it up there. And so I just kept seeing this building that used to be Lake Sinclair Realty. I mean, every time I'd ride by it 4 or 5 times a weekend, and they were getting old, and they decided they were going to retire, and they've been trying to sell that company for 2 years, and I finally struck a deal with them, I think in August of last year, and purchased their building, their location, their database, phone numbers, websites, and turned it into a RE/MAX.
Congratulations.
And we're slowly getting that thing going. It's taken me some time getting signage and all. Matter of fact, signage is supposed to be installed tomorrow, finally. But, I just, again, did I need it? No. Did I want it? Yeah. I mean, I just think I see an opportunity up there for a little bit different real estate experience than maybe some of them are used to having, and hopefully that pays off. And I'm going to be opening another location on the Columbia side of, well, in Milledgeville, downtown Milledgeville. I purchased a building on Columbia Drive, and that's coming here in the next probably 60 days. So I have a location on the Milledgeville side of Baldwin County, and then have one in Sparta on that side of.
Congratulations on that. I know that is no easy accomplishment.
No, and I mean, again, sometimes you go, what the heck are you thinking? But from the real estate side of things, I feel so good about it, and feel so good about the growth of Milledgeville. Milledgeville has one heck of a commercial. Their growth in commercial is unbelievable. I mean, they have way more than we have here, and they keep coming and coming. I mean, there's a Kroger there, a huge Kroger that's awesome. Well, right next door, Publix is coming.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of growth, and I'm excited about Milledgeville. So we're looking forward to the future there.
I wanted to ask a question in here, and it's really about kind of, throughout like all these experiences, like your ability to put together a deal is really comes in handy like time and time again. How do you approach that? And like obviously like there's probably some like there's a gut feeling, right? Like there's something that you feel here, but like what is in your words, like what is the art of putting together a great deal?
I mean, it just starts with an idea first, and then I start doing a lot of research online. Are you referring to like a real estate deal, or are you referring to
any sort of deal? Because like I look at kind of like in my mind, your experience in kind of like the car dealership at the pawn shop, like you were always just identifying the value, right? Like seeing the value within whatever product it is, and even like now, like the real estate, it's like, hey, how much value do you think this has? And then bridging that gap between the person who can also basically pay for that value, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think especially with real estate the way it is right now, I just started seeing, I work with so many buyers and sellers that I started seeing early on the value that we were starting to have more buyers coming in wanting to purchase, and we had opportunity for inventory to sell. And that just kind of started driving the cost up of the homes here. But, when it comes to working a deal, I'm just honest about it. I try to think of all the angles for what would make it successful and what would make it, fail.
Mm-hmm.
But, when I get something on my mind, I just sit down with a notepad and a paper and pen and just start writing it all down. Just what will make this work, and how do I need to make it work, and the who, what, when, where, and why kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking, from experience, I mean, I have put together some pretty good deals here in town with some real estate transactions, and it all starts, honestly, I think, with me personally, it just starts with being an honest person about it. I want no one to detect that I'm throwing any bull crap at them at all, that I'm honest with what I'm saying, and that I think that builds trust between sellers and buyers. And, it just over time, the mind just spins and spins, and you come up with, I mean, like I did my first development out there on Old Riggs Mill Road. I got into real estate in 2014. I had no idea how that would ever even begin.
Yeah.
I mean, and even when I had learned a lot working for Caldwell Banker, but never even came close to starting that idea of how do you do this?
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people, especially when I started that thing, that helped me line it up. I mean, you had to have a water system in place. You had to have engineered drawings, and you had to have surveys, and you had to have topos, which is soil testing. And you just start writing it all down. You start calling people, asking questions, and put it all in order. And that, I mean, that worked out well for me out there. As much as I pick up the phone. I'm literally, and this is no joke, my Verizon cell phone bill, it's probably about 101 pages if I were to print it out.
Oh, my God.
Because I live my life on my phone.
Yeah.
But I really like to talk business face to face.
Yeah.
You know, to talk to them so that they know. Sometimes you can be misinterpreted, especially text. Man, be careful about text because people can take what you're saying wrong, and talking on the phone sometimes can be. I just like to do business face to face.
Face to face, I think there's something like I've had so many people request like virtual like podcasts.
Yeah.
And there's just something about sitting across the way because there's like, you know, we're in this like same space, right? Whereas like when you're doing it virtually or on the phone, like there's just distance there.
Yeah. It's just not the same. I mean, unfortunately, with society and technology the way it is, we've gotten away from just social contact, and that's it's huge for you. You know, it's just a huge part of business in my book. I mean, that you still have to have face to face interaction and talking to people. You know, on the phone sometimes works. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not always able to go see somebody face to face, but you know, I don't ever send a contract to somebody to look over without talking to them first. Mm-hmm. When we are dealing with concerns about repairs for a home, I never send that stuff without talking to my clients first, because sometimes things can be taken the wrong way, and I try to comfort them and explain, you know, how we can make this work, and that's what it's going to cost us, and I try not to handle that through texting or anything like that or email. I try to talk to my buyers or my sellers when we're dealing with things like that. So, but putting a deal together is number one, just being honest and sincere, and just writing down all of your thoughts, and then just slowly start making phone calls and talking to people, stopping by to see owners of properties. Just, you know, but just take your time, but don't sit on something and just let it pass you by. I mean, if an opportunity is there for something, you need to jump on it.
That's right. Bubba, I have to thank you so much for spending some time with us. If there's a word of advice for, you know, those entrepreneurs out there that are looking to either start their own business or get into real estate, what would you leave them with?
Listen, go for it. You cannot fear what you don't know, which is the unknown. So, but come up with a game plan. Definitely have a game plan for what you're going to do. And, you know, a lot of agents that get their real estate license don't understand that if you started tomorrow and put a house under contract tomorrow, which probably will never happen, you know, you're 30, 60, 90 days out from getting a contract that you might not get your first paycheck for 6 months. And a lot of people that get in this business don't realize that you need about 6 months worth of reserves to live off of while you get your feet wet in this business. But again, if you're going to open a restaurant, or if you want to open a cookie baking store, you just got to have a plan with what it's going to cost you, how you're going to market to people, how you're going to get them in the door, how much your sales are going to have to be to pay your bills. You know, you have to have all that stuff laid out and plan for it, and hold yourself accountable for reaching your goals. Set goals, man. Goals are something that not too many people anymore possibly do that. But goal setting is a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, I set goals for my RE/MAX office, the Motto office. You know, we have goals. I personal goals. I mean, you know, me and my wife have goals for where we want to be, and of course, I have goals for my children as well. But dream too. Dream big. I mean, dream big. Anything is possible. Anything is possible if you set your mind to it. And you know, I'm here. I mean, Adam's a successful entrepreneur. You know, there are people in this town that are willing to sit down and talk to young entrepreneurs. I'd love to be a part of teaching young entrepreneurs what it takes and what they should be, trying to do to succeed. I don't try to talk people out of being an entrepreneur, but it's hard work.
It is.
And it takes up a lot of time. And, the weekends are used to grow your business and to grow yourself. And you just got to be prepared for that you just can't open something up and work from the hours of operation and then go home and not focus on growing your business, because if you do that, you'll never succeed, because it is a lot of work. But, man, I've opened, I couldn't even tell you right now, but I've had furniture stores, I've had car stereo shops, I've had antique stores, I had a paging business, I had a pet shop. My very first business was security pawn and tropical fish. So I had a pawn shop with a pet shop in the back of it. And, I don't know. I've tried it all.
Yeah.
And I found a niche. I got in the restaurant business. I scratched an itch that had been on me for years and years, because I'm a big barbecue guy. I love barbecue. I love cooking it, tailgating. But I realized that my niche is real estate and everything around real estate, whether it's development, construction, flipping houses. I flip usually anywhere from 6 to 8 houses a year. I love taking something that doesn't look that good and turning it into something that turns out nice. And so I do, I'm building. I just finished 20 townhomes and probably 8 or 10 single-family homes in the last 6 months, and so that's a part of the passion I have too, is construction and the. I'm not out there slinging hammers by no means. I have partners that build these houses, but I love to see them start from dirt to finish to a family holding a set of keys.
Love that.
Happy as heck that they got their own dream home and the whole steps in between. And so I'm just excited about Statesboro, Georgia. I'm excited about what's coming and look forward to 2023 and beyond for such a great town we live in.
Absolutely. Well, Bubba, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I have to really appreciate you for inspiring, right? Like, the fearlessness that you have in the way that you carry yourself in business, and also, having that great reputation that has been built up over time. I think that is something that we can all look up to. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, hey, thank you for having me, Adam. I appreciate it, buddy, and I love your restaurant, and I love Taylor. Everybody up there takes great care of us, and I just appreciate you having me on, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you.